what do I do if there's a serious error on my return and I get audited? So the first thing that you do is if there's a serious error on the return, you need to get an attorney. Not a CPA, not a tax preparer, not your brother. You need an attorney. The reason you need an attorney is a serious error on the return carries potential criminal liability and or at least what we call a civil fraud penalty. So you need an attorney to be able to communicate the full extent of the error, and you need an attorney because an attorney's communication is protected under attorney-client privilege. So you don't have that same relationship with your CPA or with another tax preparer. Number two is, once you identify the error, determine whether or not the auditor is going to catch it. So if the error is fairly obvious, then you're better off admitting it to the auditor and avoiding the willfulness penalties or avoiding the impression that there's any fraud. So a lot of the times when we have significant underreporting on a tax return, like we'll have a client who left off several $100,000 in income in a particular year, we'll come out at the beginning of the audit, we'll state that we have discovered an error, we'll state that we accept the responsibility for it, and that our focus is getting to the correct amount of tax due, paying that tax, and moving on. By doing that, by accepting responsibility, by acknowledging the error, and by moving on, the auditor is less likely to penalize you 40, 75% of the amount, and they're more likely to be lenient on you. Why are they more likely to be lenient? Because you come out and made their job easier. Essentially, our goal walking into an audit, particularly an audit that has a serious error, is to do the work for the auditor. So the auditor only has to do is just check our work and rubber stamp it. Remember, an IRS audit is simply a check of the taxes. So if we go through and we ferret out all those large errors, we hand it to the auditor on a silver platter, and all the auditor has to do is sign off on it, then they're less likely to try and penalize the client because of that. We've taken a step to make things more efficient for the government. It doesn't eliminate the conduct, but it helps to minimize it. So if you've got a serious error on the tax return, consult with an attorney and then develop a strategy for how you're going to present it to the auditor, if you are going to present it to the auditor, and then go from there. And then oftentimes having an attorney or somebody knowledgeable of the tax procedure and the way audits work will help you guide through that issue and get you out of there with as little liability as possible.